Hi everyone, I am Melanie and I'll be presenting my part of HRMT 625 group project, and I'll talk about the HR cultural implications of full integrations using the case of Vanwest acquiring an Asian electric vehicle company. This type of merger requires both companies to fully align their system, people, and culture. That means HR plays a very big role in making it successful. And here's my agenda for these presentations. That we have the six sections. Moving on to the introductions. In full integrations, one company is fully absorbed into the others, so everything has to come together. Leadership, employees, compensation, and even workplace culture. In these presentations, I'll be focused on four key areas: HR planning before and after merger, leadership and system alignment, communication during the transitions, cultural differences and how to manage add and finally I also share two ideas that are relevant to us here in British Columbia, something that could make the integrations even stronger from a local perspective. Moving on to the slides, making acquisitions successful. Let's start with how to make an acquisitions work from an HR point of view. Before the deal happens, it is important to do proper HR diligence. That means reviewing employee contracts, looking at pension plans, and checking for a legal financial risk. It also needs to understand the people who are the key talents. Also need to understand who might leave and what gaps we need to fill. So once the merger is done, we need to align some system like compensations, performance review, and employee developments. Using Human Resource Information System or HRIS helps to make this pro- process smoother. A great example is General Mills and Pillsbury. They made their integrations successful by aligning HR system right away, which help reduce confusions and help keep employee engaged. And this slide for this slide comparative HR and cultural integrations, here is the table showing some of the common HR and cultural challenges in mergers and what companies do to solve them. Let's go through a few key examples. Talent due diligence is about reviewing employees' skills, contract, and figuring out who you want to keep. The in HR system integrations means making sure payroll, performance management, and benefits are aligned across both companies. And then in leadership alignment, it's also important. If the two companies have different management style, it can cause problem. That's what happened in the Daimler Chrysler case. Then when we have communication, if employee don't know what is going on, they feel anxious. A good communication plan includes both structural updates like newsletter and meetings and emotional support like answering questions and listening to concern. And the last is the cultural differences are big challenges. We can use the Marx and Mervis model to blend our transform company cultures. And finally, to manage resistance to change, it helps involve employees directly through focus group tasks and guide through the change using Lewen's Mill. In this next slide for the communication channels during merger, communication is probably one of the most powerful tools during a merger. Employees are often worried about their jobs, the roles, or how things will change. That's why communications needs to be both clear and constant, especially right after public announcement. There are two sides to this. One is the structural, using tools like newsletter, town halls, and updates, and the other is psychological, making employees feel seen, heard, and valued. Roger is a great example. In their first 100 days after acquiring another company, they are use open queue, question and answer session, and regular updates to build trust and prevent rumors. In the next slides, cultural issue merger. Cultural differences can be hardest part of any merger. In Van West's case, the company is Canadian, which means more collaborative and inclusive leadership. but the core company is from Asia, where leadership is often more top down and formal. If we don't recognize these differences, it can lead to misunderstood or even failed. But Banwest should consider a blended approach using the Marx and Mervis model. That means keeping the best part of its culture and building shared values together. And to help the change process, Lewin's model and Priest's change reprise gives employee time to adjust and help new behavior stick. Moving on to the next slide, resistance to change. When big changes happen, people naturally resist. It could be fear of losing their job or just wanting to give up the way they were they have always worked. That's why it's important to include employees in the change. For example, Van West can create task forces on hold focus group to hear what employees are thinking. One real example is the vet value and Bolly's merger. They managed change gradually and gave employee time to adjust. That helped them maintain engagements and reduce turnover. In the next slides, in this is the new idea number one, indigenous cultural awareness in busy context. Now here's my first new idea, and it ties into our busy context. Van West could include indigenous values in its leadership training, like respect, shared decision making, and community-centered thinking. This value promotes fairness and inclusions, and they align with busy reconciliation goals under the RIPA. Adding this kind of awareness to training also helps Van West stand out as company that leads with integrity and cultural sensitivity. In the next slides, the new idea number two, multicultural ambassador in BC. My second idea is about inducing BC diverse workforce. British Columbia is home to people from many cultures. Banwest can tap into this diversity by selecting employees from the different backgrounds to act as cultural ambassador. These ambassadors can help explain cultural differences, support team communication, and give leaders feedback. It is low cost and highly effective way to make integrations smoother. And finally, for my conclusion to wrap up, successful full integration is not just about business, it's really about people. By planning HR changes carefully, aligning leadership, communications, and respecting culture, bandwidth can avoid common mistakes. And by using local strategies like indigenous training and cultural ambassador, they can lead with empathy and make integrations truly successful. And here's a look at how our group divided the work. Each member focused on a specific part of the project. My section covered the HR and cultural challenge in a full integrations. Thank you for listening, and this is Melanie, and God bless you all.